What's going on, everybody? It is. Oh, there goes the microphone. Terrible way to start today. What's going on, everybody? I am live right now, as you can see. Trying to keep my mic steady so I sound a little better than last time. In any case, I'm just getting started. It's not quite 12:15. I guess it just turned 12:15. So, yeah. So, Uncommon Assets, New Year's Eve, ready to go, ready to do this. If I can get this mic right, it'd be awesome. It's frustrating. So yeah, it's beat making time. I did this last week on Christmas Eve, and big up Jamal. Thanks for coming on. Did this last week. Please let me know how I sound, how the beat sounds, things like that. This is all still kind of new for me. I've only done this once before on Christmas Eve. So, I'd love to, get some feedback. Put it in the chat. Let me know if you can hear me, if you can hear the beat. I spared all of you guys watching me sample drums and play them. I have that sorted out. I kind of wanted to mess around today with this new synth that I got, the TX81Z from Yamaha. I had honestly not even heard of it before. I'm not like one of those people that knows everything about everything. But I saw a random interview with Ronnie Size and he mentioned it, and I saw it was like well under $200 on eBay, so I picked one up. And so I'm gonna mess around with that today. Maybe I'll play some other stuff over these drums. Obviously, these are sampled and cut up drums. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Any questions, we'll get answers. I'm more than happy to jump in the chat and talk to you guys about anything. So particularly beat related or Uncommon Records related. I should say, make sure to subscribe. Hopefully these work out cool. If you guys dig them, please subscribe. That'll tell me that I'm doing something right and that people actually want to see this kind of stuff. And we'll take it from there. Subscribing is really important to get the channel up. I just put up a video last night, basically just breaking down everything that Uncommon Records released in 2020. It's long-winded because I did it, but it definitely gives you the details of everything that happened that you may have missed, and maybe a reminder that we work hard around here. So I'm gonna get into messing around with these beats right now. I'm just gonna start by sampling some synth sounds and kind of throwing them into this. So we'll see where it goes. Every synthesizer's first sound that it comes up with when you first turn it on is always the worst sound in the thing. But we'll get there. We'll get to something cool here. This thing is a rack mount synth. I've actually never owned a rack mount synth before. I thought I was going to have like a whole bunch of trouble like reteaching myself how to use like 30-year-old MIDI to get it to work, but I literally just plugged in a MIDI cable to my Korg Minilog, which is kind of a newish synth, and it just started working immediately. So good times. Remembering all the MIDI code settings and all that shit was probably going to take some research, but I'm in a better place now than I was even 20 years ago when MIDI was a big deal for doing this kind of stuff, because I've learned how to learn. Let's put it that way. Yeah, let's fuck around and find a good sound here. Probably on the whole thing, I'm assuming. But let me turn the beat up or the music part of this up for you. I've got one of the most complex boards for doing this shit. I think I probably am gonna sound a little bit low because I'm off mic, and that's kind of okay. But if the whole thing is too low to enjoy, just let me know. I'll keep adjusting. Definitely let me know how we're doing on volume. And if you guys can hear me at the same time, I could do a little bit of checking on that. I could tell I'm a lot lower than the beat, so let's see if I can bring myself up a little bit without giving too much noise. We'll get into it. Yeah, yeah. Shitty sound. turn your input up to 20 seconds. She won't be able to play anything worth of shit. So with some beats, like if I'm working off a synth, I can immediately tell it sounds like too synthy and too fake. So the shit is hard, but it's not really musical. So that's when you break out some records and add some touches. Even if you're not gonna go heavy with samples, a little bit of a human being playing something goes a long way. So see how that turns out. I don't know anything about this record. I grabbed it from my avant-garde section, which is usually a good place to sample from. And I said last week, like I sold a bunch of my records. I sold like hundreds of records. So there's about maybe 1,200 records here now. I probably used to have more like 3,500, or at least like 2,500. So I sold somewhere between half and 2/3 of my collection a couple years ago. So the cool thing about it is um, you know, usually with the records that I kept them for a reason. I literally needle dropped every record before I sold them all. I'll just jump into the chat for you for a sec here. Big up, Jacob. Thank you for coming back 2 weeks in a row to watch me fuck around in here. It's always good to have company. Nice and crispy. You can see why I kept that record. Sounds like some fucking RZA shit right off the top. So I like that a little bit better than that loud synth thing that I was playing, because it sounds better, basically. So I'm gonna fuck around with that a little bit more. Yes, it is beer 30. This is not quite a beer. It is. It's a little too early, at least today. Last week it was earlier, and I drank a beer on camera. But this is it's a hard seltzer. Flagship local brewery. They do amazing things. They're right down the street from me here on Staten Island. And basically, this is from Ralph's Ices, which is like the famous Staten Island ice shop. And they did a collaboration. So I'm drinking an orange creamsicle this morning because it's breakfast time. I should probably stop drinking. But yeah. Let's see here. noisiest, cleanest record ever. I mean, you would think that this record has like scratches all over it and it came from the bottom of a 99-cent bin, but it's actually pretty clean and new. Like, I don't know why it's so noisy, but it is what it is. Whew, man. Let's see here. A couple questions. Uh, it's not that classy. Trust me, it's not. Um, And let's see, plan to send through the MPC. So I'll answer in the chat, then I'll kind of answer on this for on the camera too for like people that watch this after. But so basically, the way I've got the synth set up, no matter what synth it is, you'll see me like kind of fiddling with cables back there. That's because I'm just changing the input to the MPC. So the MPC is like the mainframe for everything that I do. So everything goes through the MP. Certainly for like these beat demos that I'm doing live, everything goes to the MPC. Now when I'm producing, I'll play synth like straight to Pro Tools over a beat that's already done, and then I'll arrange it in Pro Tools. The signal flow to actually show you guys that during a live MPC session is just not really possible in the studio. But maybe someday I'll make like a video that's not live that does stuff like that. But to answer your question, like, yeah, all the synth goes through the MP. I said this last week too, like, the synth is either going to do one of two things. It's either going to I'm going to fiddle around and kind of play something that sounds like it was played on a record, and then sample that and flip it in the MP, or I'm going to make a beat and then play synth on top of it in Pro Tools. So in this case, that's how I'm going to do it. Currently, I'm just sampling records and messing around with them. I kind of like put my hand on the record to fuck around with that sound from this Concerto for Orchestra record. For most of these, I will probably, sample more obscure records. I mean, I do that anyway, but even more obscure than usual, just because I don't want to get like copyright flagged or anything. But, but yeah, that's pretty much what we're doing right now. I was calling your orange drink classy. No, I know. It's not classy either. Yes. Any collaborations, you have to ask the other collaborator. People know my number, so I am here busy making beats. So. No idea what this is or how I got it. I love doing shit like that. It's cool stuff. So, hoping for something loud. I need like I need something like as a hit to give this kind of soupy beat some rhythm. I don't know whether this is gonna be where I find that though, but we'll see. No idea where I got this from. It looks like a really good record. Like I said, like when I went through everything, I listened. I needle dropped, I would say 95% of the records. I mean, some of them I knew exactly what was on them, and some of them, maybe if they were in a new pile, I didn't get the needle drop at the time. Maybe this is one of those records, but for the most part, I know what's here. And it's bound to be great. Might not be great for this, though. We'll see. Didn't that sounded familiar, right? Somebody fuck with that. Any beat nerds that know where that came from, please let me know. I'm gonna play it again. I'm not gonna touch it because I think somebody else touched it. That shit is fucking raw. I mean, obviously, I could just loop that shit, make a dope beat with it, but suck in everyone else. Somebody probably that shit is so raw. It's like somebody's probably already used that. So I'm just gonna use the top part of it and not get sued. Man, thank you, Jacob. Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm glad my music can do that for you. Have a good rest of the day. Have a happy New Year. Stay safe tonight. And thanks for stopping by, Jacob. I appreciate it. Peace. The rest of us are still here. We'll fuck with this amazing sample that I just got here. to take out a fun little toy here. Because I need a hat. So, this beat's kind of just fucking around. I think it needs a hat, which means I get to take out the HR-16 because I don't feel like looking for it on a record. So I'm just gonna play it myself. Here we go. Now we get to do the process of plugging in the drum machine, plugging in the audio and the power. Actually, I have to unplug the microcord to do that. Short on plugs, short on cables, short on all of it. Getting through it. Alright. I'll let you guys see the HR in a sec. Just for those that haven't seen it or aren't familiar. But let me get the audio plugged in first though. This is coming from over there. Do I have a spare cable? Yeah. This guy. Where's this going? Okay, cables to nowhere. What else we got? This is going back to the turntables. Oh boy. Alright, let's grab this. Okay. So, I got this off of eBay about. Let me sit down with it actually. Got this off of eBay about 2 years ago. I've had this. You can hear this pretty heavily on the White Horse record. Most of the stuff that I did on there probably used drums. I mean, there's actually not a whole lot of drum sounds on here when you get into kicks and snares. There's only like 5 kicks and 5 snares, but they all kind of work in their own way. And there's a lot of dope percussion on this thing. And, you know, this is pretty much it. It's in really good shape until I drop it, but it's in really good shape. This machine is the predecessor of the SR-16, which maybe more people in my age range are familiar with because that was what came out like around the time when I was late high school, early recording school. This was the predecessor to it. So this is a little bit before my time, but I recorded these a lot back in the day because people still had these when I got to be engineering. And, you know, again, probably less than $200. So, you know, every so often I get that itch to go on eBay and buy something frivolous. But most of the stuff in here, although it's all vintage, most of it was pretty affordable. Someday I'll break out the Ensoniq keyboard that I got that's lined up back there. That one I went a little bit in for, at least by my standards. That was probably like $380 or almost $4. But that shit is dope. It's a beast, man. It's obviously too small in here to set up that keyboard and this keyboard, and I definitely use this Rhodes more. But anyway, this is the HR-16. I've talked enough. Let's actually play it. I'm rambling on. Hold on here. What I really need is a hat, although I might use that stick too. Get off of this table. Get away from the mic. Let's see. If I back up, you can actually see it in the shot. need. Maybe a little bit of that. So I have played, when I first got this, I did some programming in here. It's not that hard. My favorite thing about this is the entire instructions are in this top flap right here. So you never don't know how to use it. But since I use the MPC, it's just easier for me to sample it and play in the MP than to program on here. I mean, obviously I'm adding to an already existing drum beat, so I would do that anyway. But in normal circumstances, if I'm playing the whole drum pattern from this, I'll still usually sample it in there. I wish that I did do it, but I also want to preserve the pads because this shit is old and these are not MPC quality pads. I don't want to be banging the shit out of this thing, so, you know. So you can hear that the another cool thing about this guy is they are touch sensitive, and depending on how you play it, it will play it a little bit differently. You know, this was when people were really honestly trying to make drum machines that sounded like a drummer, which people tried to do from like 79 to 95, and then after that, everyone knew that we were using these drum machines to make hip hop and stopped doing that. So, you know. Anyway, round of applause for the HR-16. That's not too annoying, is it? Does that bother you? Is that okay? Okay. Almost have it trimmed now. That first cut off one. Trimming on the MPC 2000 XO is like super manual pinwheel, so bear with the technology of the time when this was existed or when it was invented. So, all right. So that's pretty much the beat right there. You know, at least for today. Let it run in the background a little bit. You know, while you guys are still here, if you have any other questions, I will gladly answer them now. Thank you, Jamal. Yeah, man, thank you. You're on the MPC 4000. Man, I wish I kept up with the MPCs more. I know they changed the colors. I'm like super ignorant to the different ones, but I think the 4000 is the big one with the window in the middle, and that's dope. Yeah, if you're an MPC user, then you'll know like about Note Off, and if you listen to my beats, you can tell that I use Note Off a lot. For those that don't know, like Note Off basically is when you hold down the button and when you bring it up, it turns off immediately. There's this poly which plays over itself, mono which interrupts itself, and then Note Off is literally just the button press. I know there was some later MPCs that did not come with Note Off, which was horrifying for me because that's the key part of how I produce. So it allows you to kind of make the samples work together, you know, like a collage kind of feel to it. So anyway, yeah, man, one last thing I'll point out, in absence of any other questions in the chat, you can hear the stick that I used. I had heard the stick that's in the beat, which is there, and I tried to match the tempo, or the tune, I should say, of the stick to just add more of that stick in there. So it definitely needed a hat. I kind of like overlapped my hat loop, like where it was supposed to loop, but I kind of like the little pickup. It sounds like a natural person doing that. So, well, that's part of it. The question on the chat is, do I use Note Off, you know, so that the samples don't overlap? That's part of it. For sure, it helps you fit different samples together like puzzle pieces because you can have them stop and go and hand off to each other. And when I say samples, I mean, it's not just vinyl, you know, it's when I'm sampling off of my own synthesizers, I'll play the same way that I play samples, so that way everything sounds together. Like Written at Night, like I played mostly synth on that. There's certainly samples on it, but not nearly as much as what I was doing prior. And Note Off helps you to accomplish that feel of getting those samples together in that collage style, which is sort of like the basis of how I like to produce. And also, I didn't do it today. I started with the drum pattern that I played, and I did that on the last show too, on Christmas Eve. But a lot of times what I'll do, maybe I'll do it the next time, it's a lot more of a working without a net, because what I'll do a lot of times is I'll sample a whole chunk of something with drums in it, use Note Off to create a pattern inside the drum sample. And if you listen to my beats, especially on Chekhov's Gun, if you listen to those beats, you'll hear what I mean. The instrumentals are on Spotify too, but you know, it's literally just the whole sample chopped into a new drum pattern with all the samples just happening regardless of what's happening with the drums, and then I play shit over that. So Note Off gives you a lot of flexibility to experiment and have fun and do weird shit, you know. It's really great for experimental beats, for experimental hip-hop, all that kind of stuff. I don't know if there is a tactile way to do it in a more traditional style beat, you know, maybe for percussion, you know, like you get that little, you hear people use Note Off for like bells and hats and stuff like that, but sleigh bells, that kind of shit, but it is hard to see it in a traditional way, like, because you're stopping the part of the beat like that's on there, and I do that for effect. It's just what I like to hear, but some people don't fuck with that kind of shit. So alright, with that said, I've been on for about almost an hour, so I'm going to give you guys back the rest of your day. Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you for tuning in and watching me fuck around with some beats on your New Year's. I'm going to take this into Pro Tools, you know, do the arrangement, do the EQing and do the effects and stuff. You know, those are all the things that you don't, that are part of the beat that you don't get to see in a thing like this. This is just raw beat making. So I'm gonna do that with the rest of the afternoon. And you guys have a great new year. Thank you guys for jumping in. Again, subscribe to the channel. Let me know if you like doing things like seeing things like this. You know, I'd love to keep doing them if this is what people fuck with. You know, I enjoy doing it. I like having people in the studio, so to speak, while I'm working. So, yeah. Peace out, y'all.